recording has started.
Chair Hyland, do you want to introduce the meeting or shall I?
No, I'll let you do that. I'm on the road. Thank you.
All right. This is the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force Education Outreach and Training Committee meeting. This is a remote regular meeting. Remote meeting via video conference. The bit.ly number is bit.ly/3QYLWTN and the password is sunshine. Public comment call-in number 415-655-0001. Meeting ID 2499-737-5623 #. Press *3 if you wish to enter the speaker line. The date is September 27, and we have the time at 5:33. Remote access to information and participation. In accordance with Governor Newsom's Executive Order N3320, declaring a state of emergency regarding the COVID-19 outbreak, and Mayor London and Breed's proclamation declaring a local emergency issued on February 25, 2020, including the guidance for gatherings issued by the San Francisco Department of Public Health Officer, aggressive directives were issued to reduce the spread of COVID-19. On March 17, 2020, the Board of Supervisors authorized their board and committee meetings to convene remotely via Microsoft Teams and will allow remote public comment via teleconference. Members of the public may participate by phone or may submit their comments by email to the SOTF@sfgov.org. All comments received will be made a part of the official record. Sunshine Ordinance Task Force agendas and their associated documents are available at sfbos.org/sunshine. As the COVID-19 disease progresses, please visit the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force website regularly to be updated on the current situation as it affects the legislative process. Chair Hyland, should I read meeting decorum?
Yes, please.
Meeting decorum. Any member of the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force may call for decorum due to disorderly conduct of meeting participants. Persons who engage in threatening and or menacing behavior may be asked to leave. Shall I read item number 1?
Please, yes.
Call to order, roll call, and agenda changes. Roll call. Member Hill, not present. Member Padmanabhan?
Present.
Member Padmanabhan present. Chair Hyland?
Present.
Chair Hyland present. Quorum. Members, are you aware of any changes to the agenda since my last discussion with Chair Hyland on Friday?
Nothing I'm aware of.
Okay. All right. Shall I read item number 2?
Yes, please.
Item number 2, adoption of the minutes for the May 24, 2022 Education Outreach and Training Committee meeting. I have a copy of the minutes.
Jaya, do you have any changes?
I don't. Looks good.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, looks good. Just making notes. Right. Hang on a second. Do we want to, would one of you like to move to adopt the minutes?
Yes, I can go ahead and move to adopt the minutes of May 24th.
I'll second.
Okay, I assume you would like to call for public comment at this time. Or if there are any members of the public who would like to provide public comment on the approval of this item, please raise your hand at this time by pressing *3 or otherwise using the application to raise your hand. I will give you a few moments to go ahead and raise your hand at this time. I am not seeing any hands raised at this time. I believe we can close public comment and take the vote at this time.
Padmanabhan.
Aye.
Member Padmanabhan, aye. Chair Hyland.
Aye.
Chair Hyland, aye. Member Hill, absent. Moved by Member Padmanabhan and seconded by Chair Hyland to adopt the minutes of May 24, 2022. Shall I read item number 3?
Yes, please.
Item number 3, adoption of the minutes for the July 26, 2022 Education, Outreach, and Training Committee meeting. I have the minutes right here. Do you have any changes, anyone?
I have just a small, editorial change. It's in the action on item number 1. It says moved by Chair Hyland, seconded by Member Padmanabhan to continue the approval of the May 24th, 2022, and there's no comma after that, meeting minutes to the call of the chair.
Oh, you want to comment after the word minutes?
No, I don't want a comma after 2022.
Oh. Okay. Chair Hyland, any other suggestions?
And did you get the word off after the word approval?
Yep, got it.
Okay, that's it.
Okay. I'm happy to make a motion to approve as amended.
I second it.
Victor, can we do some public comment on that?
Okay, at this time, if you'd like to make public comment on the motion to adopt the minutes as amended, you can go ahead and raise your hand by pressing *3 if you're on the telephone, or otherwise using the application to raise your hand. I will give everyone a few moments. Okay, I'm not seeing any hands raised at this time. I believe you can proceed to the vote.
Chair Hyland?
Aye.
Chair Hyland, aye. Member Padmanabhan?
Aye.
Member Padmanabhan, aye. Member Hill, absent. Moved by Chair Hyland, seconded by Member Padmanabhan to adopt the July 26, 2022 meeting minutes. Okay. Bear with me a second. Shall we read item number 4?
Yes, please.
All right. Item number 4, public comment. Members of the public may address the Education, Outreach, and Training Committee on matters that are within the committee's jurisdiction, but not on today's agenda. Mr. Young, do we have any public commenters?
If you'd like to raise your hand to make public comment at this time, you can press *3, or otherwise use the application to raise your hand. I'm not seeing any indication of a raised hand at this time. I believe we can move on, close public comment and move on.
Okay. Item number 5, file number 22096, complaint filed by Andrew Cisneros against Caroline Celaya and the San Francisco Municipal Transportation Agency for allegedly violating Administrative Code sections 6725, 6726, 6727, California Public Records Act, section 6254C as in cat, by failing to respond to an immediate disclosure request in a timely and/or complete manner. This is the first time this case has been heard.
Okay, if you're a party to this matter, you can go ahead and raise your hand so I can identify you. It would be appreciated. Use the application to raise your hand or otherwise. Okay, everyone has done it. I will go ahead and unmute them.
Hello, my name is Andrew Cisneros. I was trying to make public comments a minute ago regarding something that was on agenda that was not on agenda. Can I articulate on that now?
Yeah, we can. I think it would be
Right.
fine to reopen public comment if it's okay with the chair for general public comment at this time.
Do we need to vote on that or?
Discussing the chair, but I don't think it's an issue. Cheryl, can you get the timer ready for general public comment?
Mr. Cisneros, are you ready to begin?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Go ahead.
First off, I want to say thank you to the present task force members and the other task force members that are not present. Without your service, I could not have been granted a determination of order for disclosure of records from the MTA in 2015 that vindicated me of a wrongful termination and won back lost benefits and full back wages. I could not have done that without the task force. Now I'll articulate on a complaint that was filed in early September 2021, which was seen by a three-person panel in January of 2022 and was referred to the task force for review. That has not been on agenda at all. I am here today to address complaint 2296, 2297 against the SFMTA. This prior complaint of 22001 was filed in September 2021, but has not been heard yet. This complaint of 2021 has the same violations of the Sunshine Ordinance of complaint number 22096, 22097. And I would ask the committee to consolidate all those cases today as I address them because I'm next on the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cisneros.
Thank you very much. I believe we can go ahead and close public comment. I do request that if you have a request of that nature, if you can send it to us in writing so that we can go ahead and take a closer look at it. You can send it to sotf@sfgov.org, and we will follow up with you through the email. I believe we can go ahead and move on to the case. I'm going to unmute the other parties.
Okay, I have articulated that to Ms. Ledger in a response.
Yeah, Mr. Cisneros, we'll get to that once we get into the case. Thank you. Just hold on a second.
I have unmuted two other parties who I believe are a party to this case.
Chair Hyland, for item number 5, how much time do you want to allow each speaker to have?
We can do the usual.
5 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
And could those parties identify themselves, make sure that you're unmuted?
Andrew Cisneros.
Okay. And what about respondents?
Doris King.
Very good. Okay.
Hi, Kimberly Ackerman.
Okay. And you're both with MTA?
That's correct, yes.
Great. Okay. So basically what we do here is we give each party some time to describe their position. We'll ask a few questions. We'll have rebuttals. And then we'll see if we have everything we need to send this up to the full task force. So Cheryl, let Mr. Cisneros know when you're ready to start the clock for his presentation.
Mr. Cisneros, are you ready to begin?
Sure.
Go ahead, sir.
Andrew Cisneros, Sunshine Complaint 22096. On July 25th, 2022, I requested documents regarding grievance results from a certain range of time. This request was given to me in 2018 with other material I did not request. I made the same request in 2022. The SFMTA responded by asking for extensions and eventually denying my request on the basis of privacy matters, that those records had personal and private information of transit operator. But this was not the case in 2018. They misstate the facts. Partial records were given to me with redactions. 75 to 80% of those were with redactions. These other 25%, and that's an approximate guess, had people's names, cap numbers, grievance numbers, and such, but was never disclosed by me at all. It was shredded. I determined that it was a violation of privacy, so I didn't ask for it. I asked for the grievance numbers to validate, but the MTA is taking the position that this is a private and personal information that cannot be disclosed to the government. But those results are done by public money. And I hate to use that term, public knowledge. I'm not an authority in this matter, and that's for you people to decide today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cisneros. Is anybody here to provide evidence on behalf of Mr. Cisneros for this case?
It would just be me again, and I do want to articulate on that.
So you'll have Mr. Cisneros, you'll have a chance to continue during questions and rebuttals. I thought you had concluded your presentation. If you have more to say, you can carry on.
Yes, sure. I would have disclosed this in a proper time guideline for the Sunshine Force to look at this email from Mr. Ponder, who is a Department of Human Resources representative for the city and county of San Francisco. I asked him yesterday regarding a policy that was in place that the MTA was using to protect data. He said that this is a policy that was in place for many years. It's always used when there's a public request. I haven't requested anybody's personal information. I requested the results of the grievances of step 2 and step 3 arbitrations. This has been given before, and I really think that the MTA should violate the Sunshine Ordinance as I articulated in the complaint. That'll be it. Thank you.
Okay, have you concluded?
Yes, thank you.
All right. Is anybody here presenting any evidence in support of the petitioner? Please hit *3 to raise your hand. Victor, is anybody that you see?
We only have one other person online with us, and they have not raised their hand.
Okay. All right. Cheryl, please let the respondents know, and you can split your time 2.5 minutes each, or just one of you can speak. One of you can speak later. That's entirely up to you.
Okay, I'm ready. Who's the first speaker?
That would be me, Doris Kang with the SFMTA.
Ms. Kang, are you ready to begin?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So there is a employee data privacy that actually states that discipline and details of the discipline can only be shared with the employee's permission, and that's only given to the representing union. We had not identified Mr. Cisneros as any representing union. And the documents, discipline documents are also part of an employee's personnel file, which are exempt from disclosure. Any items or any documents that we disclosed previously were disclosed in error, regardless of them being redacted or not. I'm done.
Okay. Is there a second speaker?
Hi, yes, Kimberly Ackerman with the SFMTA,
Okay. What's your position there, Ms. Ackerman?
Chief People Officer.
Okay. Cheryl, please let Ms. Ackerman know when you're ready.
Ms. Ackerman, are you ready to begin?
Yes, thank you.
Go ahead.
Okay, just want to kind of summarize what Ms. Kane spoke to. We withheld the information that Mr. Cisneros requested because it links specific employees to disciplinary actions taken against them. The release of that information would have violated the employee's right to privacy unless we had pertained their consent to disclose, which is what Ms. Kane said, which is correct. The city has a policy. It's called the Employee Data Privacy Policy. It was actually last updated on 8/9/22. It specifically states that data relating to corrective action, which include probationary extensions, performance improvements, can only share the contents with the employee's permission. Discipline, dismissal, suspension, written warnings, details of the discipline can only be shared with the employee's permission, i.e., such as when the employee elects to be represented by the union. And for that reason, we do have the authority and ability to share this information with the union because they are there representing the employee during the step 2 grievance, the step 3, etc. Previously, Mr. Cisneros may have been provided information that was mistakenly disclosed. Similar information in the past does not give us the license to disclose that information now. So, unfortunately, we cannot provide that specific information to Mr. Cisneros. And that is it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody here in support of MTA? Please hit *3 now. And Victor, let us know if there's anyone.
Not for the MTA.
Okay, that other user on the line has not raised their hand at this time. So I believe you can go ahead and move on.
Very good. Okay. The matter is before us. Jaya, any preliminary thoughts? I have a couple of questions, but I'll let you jump in.
Well, I would like to know what, I'd like to address some questions to Andrew Cisneros.
Yes, ma'am.
Could you describe what you expect to receive in the grievance record?
The grievance records are the results of step 2 grievance proceedings and step 3 grievance proceedings. They are referenced by grievance numbers. Those grievance numbers are only held by labor unions and SFMTA management. I just wanted the results. I just wanted no private and personal information. These results will ultimately state how the union is doing as far as their job. We've done this 3 years before. We were granted it, and now we're denied. We didn't want any personal information. There's no redactions.
So exactly, could you itemize what you expect to receive? So there are grievance numbers. What else?
Sure. Yeah, there'll be grievance numbers, and they have given us before, but there was also parts of the privacy issue that I am willing to agree to with the MTA. I don't need employees' names. I don't need employees' CAP numbers. I don't need employees' DSW numbers. I need the date of incident, the charges, the meeting, the analyst presenting, the recommended discipline, number of suspension days, decision rendered, date sent, status of meeting, arbitration hearing date, time arbitrator, analyst presenting for the MTA, hearing disposition, final discipline. And I do not need the future restrictions.
Okay. So my follow-up question would be to the respondents. Could any one of you answer why you think any of the items listed by Mr. Cisneros would be should be withheld? Is there any part of it that it does not fall under the privacy laws?
This is Doris King speaking. Mr. Cisneros is asking for the grievance number. Each grievance file number is attached to an operator, attached to an employee. So even though they haven't asked for names, the DSW number, or the CAP ID number, the grievance number itself will still be able to identify the employee that is being disciplined. In addition, some of the information, date of incident, the division, those are still, they can still identify the employee. And according to just the data privacy, just any details of the discipline can only be shared with employees' permission.
So you're saying that any member of the public from the date of the incident can identify the employee?
No, I'm sorry. No, I was wrong about that. No, not from just the date of incident. Sorry.
Okay. And back to Mr. Cisneros, you said 70 to 80% was redacted in the previous set of records that were released to you in 2000. When was that? 2018. Yes. And you said 25%. So that leaves about 20%. Aside from the names, was there anything meaningful in that you?
Of course, so the results were attached to them, to the name, along with grievance numbers, incident, division, and so forth. But I made this request in July. Last month, August, the city updated their employee privacy data policy. Now, in my view, you can't change the rules in the middle of the game. This is public knowledge. This helps us determine how our union is run.
Okay.
And I don't think they could change the policy. It's self-gaining for them. Does the public interest outweigh the interest of the MTA for privacy and personal without redactions? They can do redactions. They have the technology. They just don't want to do it. Thank you.
Thank you. I think I have enough, Chair Hyland.
Okay, I had a question for the respondents. What, if anything, was provided in this 22096 complaint? Or are you just saying that we're now, because now we're in September, we're now not providing anything? Is that your position?
We did not disclose any documents. I'm the employee data privacy that we have been using. I don't know if Mr. Cisneros has another one, but the one we're using is updated January 21 of 2021.
No, I have one from
Hold on, Mr.
2022.
Cisneros. Yeah, that wasn't a question for you. We'll get back to you in a second. So, okay, so that's based on a 21, and in that So what's troubling here is you guys have provided information in the past, okay? Redacted, and it sounds like it was justifiably redacted, so we're fine there. You said that was a mistake. That's not a mistake. That's, that's good, public knowledge, which should be available. So what troubles me is the policy you now have might be in contradiction to the sunshine laws. And that's probably what this full task force will talk about. So, and I think, did you guys attach the MOU from January 21? Is that in our packet? I think I saw a reference. I'm not sure I saw it actually attached. Jared, do you see that?
Chair Hyland, are you referring to the employee data privacy?
Yes.
Yeah, it is on page 58.
This is Kimberly Ackerman. Can I make a comment, please?
Yes, you may.
Great, thank you. I just wanted to point out, I have been, I'm a fairly new employee with the city. I've been here since 2019. And I just wanted to point out that this, just for Mr. Cisneros as well, that this policy was in place when I came here. So, this is certainly, it's been revised and updated, but this is something that we've actually put in and incorporated in with some of our policies as well. So, this is not something that was just created like over the past 12 months. So I just wanted to make that clear. It's been something that has been in place.
Okay. Mr. Cisneros, question for you then. The request about in 2019, you said that the 80% was redacted, but you got the necessary data you wanted with a similar request. Is that your position?
I wanted to be sure that the SFMTA was not still giving out private and personal information, and they acted properly.
Okay. Okay, that's how I understood it. So basically, something has changed from your request in 2019 to your request this year. That's what we're trying to get to the bottom of.
Not language-wise.
No, I meant in their privacy policy.
I wouldn't know what was there before because it was never presented in the 2018 request. They gave me the results.
I understood. Okay, so good. So it'd be curious to, this might be a good EOTC follow-up thing with MTA to have them send us. I'd like to see the evolution of this privacy policy. But okay, Jaya, back to you.
I have a problem with no records being released at all, because I think the respondent's own admission, there is at least the date of incident that they could release.
Yeah,
they could for a particular record. And as for the Sunshine Ordinance 6726 says no record shall be withheld from disclosure in its entirety unless all information contained in it is exempt from disclosure. And in this case, I don't think all of it was exempt.
I'm in agreement. Okay. Yeah, it could be heavily redacted. If
yes.
Personal information, even the case number would be okay if that indeed does correlate to an actual employee and that's easily discernible. I would be okay with that too, right? We're just looking. I think what Mr. Cisneros is looking for is just raw data.
Yes.
And that should have been provided in some shape or form. So I'm in agreement with you there. I think there is a violation. I'm probably going to ask the MTA to produce their privacy policy going back for at least the last 5-10 years. I'd like to see copies of that in the packet before it goes to the full task force, just to sort of make sure that they haven't overreached vis-a-vis sunshine law. So that's kind of where I'm heading with this. Let's give both parties a chance to rebut but that's kind of giving you guys an idea of where direction we're going with this. So MTA folks, you get to talk first, and then Mr. Cisneros gets to follow you, and you'll have 3 minutes each.
Who will be speaking for the MTA?
Hi, Kimberly Ackerman.
Are you ready, Ms. Ackerman?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Okay. Just want to reiterate a few things. This policy is consistent with the city and county of San Francisco. Certainly we take all sunshine requests very seriously and have spoken with the city attorney's office. I cannot speak to what was done before or how things were conducted before my tenure here. I began here in 2019. We certainly take it very seriously. Understand that there is a, public information and public trust. I understand that there certainly is some things that I hear what you're saying in terms of providing. We take that seriously, but I think we also have an ethical responsibility and a fiduciary responsibility to our employees to make sure that we are not disclosing anything that is related to their personnel file. That, we have an ethical responsibility in HR to uphold that. But we appreciate your time on this matter, and we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to fulfill the sunshine requirements, but we also want to make sure that we are doing everything we can to uphold the privacy rights of our employees, because we take that very seriously as well. And, we don't want to divulge anything that would tie a situation back to an employee. Whether it's an incident that could be tied back to the employee, etc. And I also just want to make a comment that these records are also retained by the union as well as by our labor team as well.
Okay. And did the other person?
Can I just make one more comment? I'm sorry. And I just want to reiterate that, it is a record. It is a part of their disciplinary file. Each employee does have a disciplinary file, and this does become a permanent record in their personnel file. So I think, just to kind of tie it all together, that's why we take that very seriously in terms of protecting our employees' privacy.
Seconds.
And thank you. We appreciate your time in front of the commission. Thank you.
Thank you. Did the second MTA person want to add anything?
No, not at this time.
Very good. Okay. Mr. Cisneros, this is your chance to kind of do a rebuttal and summary as you now see things based on what you've heard here.
Okay, first off, I'd like to comment on the date for the privacy data. It's just done after the request. I think this is public knowledge. It must be disclosed. And I have a question. When policy is updated within a city department, does it have to be sunshine or up for public review like an MOU? And if so, was this policy up for public review before it came into effect? That's the first question. I'd like the second question to be, when would I get those results if the MTA were willing to give them to me with redactions? And I will comment, as far as the union, the request wasn't made on the union. It was made on the SFMTA as a public records request. I will articulate, on my last complaint, I did not write immediate disclosure request. And we'll just leave this at that. The next case is exactly the same regarding a step 3 grievance result. And I'll end it here. Thank you.
Thank you. So on that note, Mr. Cisneros, once we hear the third case, which we're going to hear separately here, we may decide to combine both and send it up as one complete combined case to the full task force. That's part of what we're doing here, kind of deciding on that. Jai, would you like to fashion some sort of motion?
Sure. So I move to find that the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force has jurisdiction, that the records are public, and refer the matter to the SOTF with the recommended violations of Admin Code, Sunshine Ordinance Admin Code 6726 and 6721B. They invoked a 14-day extension on August 4th. So I don't know. I mean, we haven't discussed that as yet, but maybe just 6726 for now.
Okay, very good. And I'll second that motion, and we can, Victor, just a question of procedure here. We could pass this motion, vote on it, and then go to the next item. And I guess we could send up two items to be combined, each with a different motion attached. I think that'll be clean enough for the full task force to see that and decide which or both of those they want to decide on or add to it. Does that sound reasonable?
I'm just worried about the combining of actual complaints because they are still separate issues for separate requests. And once we start combining things, it can get confusing. I don't have an issue with just scheduling them all at the same time and calling all three items at the same time, just to keep things clear. Because if we try to put everything into one file, it can become confusing.
Gotcha. All right. Well, let's take a look at the second item, then we can decide whether we want to do that after the fact. But so we have a motion on the table. I will second that. Let's take some public comment on that motion.
If there are any members of the public who like to make public comment on this, it looks like we do have one. You can raise your hand, and we will go ahead and unmute you. We have one caller who would like to make public comment.
Public commenter, may I have your name, please?
Hello, caller. If you just recently raised your hand for public comment, I have unmuted you, and you can go ahead and make your public comment at this time. It may have been a mistake, so I don't have any other hands raised besides this one person, and they are unmuted, and they can speak anytime they want.
All right, let's go ahead and take the roll.
Okay, just a second. Member Padmanabhan?
Aye.
Member Padmanabhan, aye. Chair Hyland?
Aye.
Chair Hyland, aye. Member Hill? Absent. You on to the next item, Chair Hyland?
Nope, I have an instruction. So please read the results there. The motion passes.
Sorry, yes, apologies. Moved by Member Padmanabhan, seconded by Chair Hyland to find jurisdiction that the records are public, forward the matter to the task force with a recommendation for a violation of 6726.
Great. Okay. So couple of things here for the MTA. I'd like you to try and answer Mr. Cisneros' request with redacted. Doesn't matter how heavily redacted. I think that'd be a good faith effort for you guys to do that while this progresses to the full task force. And secondly, I'd like you to please send to our administrator, Ms. Leger, a copy of your current and past privacy policies for the with changes as you went through it. And I'm sure that's something that can be dug up from your past meetings. That should all be public knowledge. But if you can send, maybe the last 5 years worth, including the changes, that would be a document to just to have for us for the full task force. So those two pieces, please. And if you can do that within both those within 2 weeks, that would be very helpful. This will be on the full task force calendar probably in the next month or 60 days. Is there any problems with that, Ms. Ackerman? 2 weeks enough?
No, we're happy to. No
Okay.
problem.
Very good. All right. And please copy us on anything you send to Mr. Cisneros so we can have that in the file.
Gladly.
All right. Okay.
I would just like to caution any promises of being scheduled at the full task force within a specific amount of time, because we do have a full load, and it is at discretion of the chair of the task force.
So amended my comments. Thank you.
May I make a comment?
Yes. I'm sorry.
When
Who's
Ms.
this?
Ackerman or the MTA
Yeah.
delivers that request, can that request have the grievance numbers and the list of what I wanted on it and what I don't want on it? Because the
Yeah, I
request
think
states very plainly results.
Yeah.
and you can use his request as an index, if you like, of records and what you're responding to. If you feel something's completely private, you can say that. But you really should be providing, even if they're heavily redacted, there should be heavily redacted documents for each line of his request, and that would be a good way of tracking to make sure you got everything. Does that make sense?
It does. I mean, to me, we're kind of talking about two different things. Are we talking about aggregate data, or are we talking about individual grievance decisions? And so I'm not sure. Those are two very different things.
Mrs. Cisneros, it sounds like to me you're after aggregate data as you were back in 2019.
Exactly. The same
Okay.
exact data, grievance number, incident day, division, so forth.
Right. So you can redact the employee, even the case number that by the employee, but the raw data is what we're trying to get to here.
So we're okay. So just we're talking about aggregate data. We're not talking about individual decision letters. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Very good.
Let me comment on that.
Okay. Yeah.
Those
So
results.
let's move. Mr. Cisneros?
Yes.
We're going to move on to the next item.
Okay.
All right, Cheryl, when you're ready.
Second. Okay. Item number 6, file number 22097, complaint filed by Andrew Cisneros against Caroline Celaya and the San Francisco Municipal Transportation Agency for allegedly violating Administrative Code Sections 6725, 6726, 6727, and California Public Records Act Section 6254C as in cat, by failing to respond to an immediate disclosure request in a timely and or complete manner. This is the first time this case has been heard.
Okay, since we have both parties here, Mr. Cisneros, why don't you describe what this one's about?
Okay. Same type of complaint as I just articulated, as in 22096. But let me correct some of the MTA's response for complaint number 22097. The first number one question, it says the results of all step 2 grievance hearings. That's incorrect. It should be step 3 hearing. So I don't want the MTA to be confused with this request. They're two separate requests produced here from a step of the grievance procedure.
Okay, so 097 is step 3, is that correct?
Yeah, it should be state petitioner's request was for a copy of all results of all step 3 grievance hearing.
That's what this case is, 097. Okay.
Okay, that's incorrect. Then I would go to the withholding as the same as 22096. I would need the grievance numbers. I would need the date of incident, charges, meeting date, analyst presenting, recommended discipline, number of suspension days, discipline rendered, arbitration hearing date and arbitrator, analyst presenting for the MTA, and the hearing disposition and final disposition. That's why I had articulated these results are based on individuals' performance or discipline, but they can be redacted with names and cap numbers.
Okay.
Not that we just go down the list real quick, and I think they covered everything else. And I think we can work together on this if we can have the grievance numbers and the results for those 3 years that I requested without any further involvement. But that's up to the MTA.
Okay. Does that conclude your presentation?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
For everybody being here today.
Yeah. Quick question. I thought I heard the grievance number was something they weren't willing to disclose because it could identify an employee. In other words, the number was linked to the employee. Did I misunderstand that?
You asking me?
Actually, I'm asking you.
Okay. The grievance numbers are held by the union and the MTA management. Those are the two parties to the grievance, besides the grievance itself. I wouldn't be violating anybody's private personal information, and it gives me a point of reference to validate the MTA's results.
Okay, so you've got to call a case something, right? That's what you're looking for.
Yeah, something has reference, dates. Those all correspond with each other.
Got it. Okay, that's fair. All right, MTA, would you like to present your case? And if you could please address that particular point, if you're prepared to do that, that'd be helpful. And Cheryl, let them know when you're ready.
So just to note, all members are unmuted at this time, so all you need to do is speak up.
Okay, and actually, let me just quickly ask, anyone here to support Mr. Cisneros? Please speak now. And sounds like respondent, MTA. Cheryl, let them know when you're ready.
Hi, Kimberly Ackerman.
Are you ready, Ms. Ackerman?
Yes, whenever you are.
Go ahead, ma'am.
Okay. Really very similar scenario as the previous. We withheld specific information because it is related to an employee's disciplinary actions that have been taken against them, whether it's a suspension, termination, etc. And we did, again, I want to reiterate, we did consult with the city attorney regarding this, and they said the advice that they gave us was that this was part of the personnel file. And that we could not disclose if it was part of the personnel file. So that's really kind of what we have been operating under those two, the information from the city attorney, as well as the city's privacy, employee data privacy policy. And that's the guidance that we have been operating under, and want to be very transparent about that. I will say that the number of grievances we get, as Mr. Cisneros probably knows, that they're huge volume. We can get up to 10 a week. The arbitrations are fewer, much fewer. So there is a smaller number. I do want to point that out. I certainly, again, because it's a smaller number, I don't want to risk any employee privacy issues or have any employee privacy violations. So I just wanted to make this clear. Those points are relevant to those cases. But again, just want you to know that we did count the city attorney for that. Thank you. Doris, do you have anything you want to add to that?
No, that's all.
Okay, thank you. Anybody on behalf of the MTA in support? Hearing none, matter is before us. Excellent. Quick question. So I think we're getting some. We're this is a data-driven question. I think we're getting to the
Excuse me.
the,
I'm going to mute myself.
the raw data of this request, and I'm a little. So that grievance, as Mr. Cisneros explained it, is the number, is like a number, just SOTF here, set up between, I don't know if MTA or the union triggers it, or assigns it, if you like. And I think that's integral to matching the data to an or a data point, if you like, right? So I'm curious as to why the district attorney thinks that should be a random number, a grievance number, then becomes part of the file. I disagree with that. I think we have something to call that incident, right? Some sort of classification from which all the data about that incident then flows, right? For whatever reason Mr. Cisneros wants to do his research, he has to be able to identify it to incident A, B, C, D, or E. Could you talk to that? And I mean, if you're saying the grievance number includes the 6 numbers of the personnel record, well, that's something else. Is that what you're saying? Or, how does the grievance number identify a personnel of MTA?
Is that a question for the MTA?
No, yes, question for the Sacrament, yeah, or her partner.
Hi, Doris King. I can answer that.
Okay.
The way that the grievance number is generated is the chronologically the grievance number, for the year, and then it also identifies the year itself that the grievance was filed, and then the division that the employee works out of. So there are, I believe, 8 divisions, transit divisions. So that's why we feel that even though it's not like a, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, the grievance number could be 2022-13- the department acronym. So can you give us an example of a grievance number?
Sure. I might have them a little bit out of order, but it'll be like 22-13- FL for Flynn Division.
Okay. So I fail to see how that correlates to any particular person on MTA. I do. That seems general enough, but I don't think that should be redacted or protected in any way, unless you can explain that to me better.
Member Highland, you were breaking up during that last comment. I don't know if the parties got it or not.
Okay. Yeah, so just to respond to that, that seems like a pretty general number. I don't see how that correlates to an individual at MTA. I'd be curious to know what MTA advised you, or how that then becomes part of the personnel file, because I disagree with that position. Unless there's something you can say where someone that's knowledgeable can look at that and say, all right, well, there was 5 incidents in this department at that time, so it could be 1 or 5 people. Well, that's not specific for me.
Well,
Jai, do you know where I'm going?
Yeah, I do. And so my only question would be, like, how many people in any division? How many people do you have in your divisions? And how many employees?
in each of the transit divisions, they vary. So one division can have maybe like 100. A larger division can have, I believe, like 320 operators. Now, not all of them are filing grievances, because grievances are driven by someone being an employee being disciplined, and if they feel that the discipline is not warranted, so they'll file a grievance. So each, the way it's explained to us is that each grievance number is assigned to an employee. And discipline documents are, once the discipline has been imposed, they are placed in a personnel file. So that's why it's explained to us that these documents are exempt from disclosure.
I understand that you place them, that is as part of your process, you place them in the personnel file. But when Chair Hyland was asking the question about, what the grievance number is, now it would only help a member of the public to identify who that person is against whom the grievance has been, is linked to. If there are only 3 or 4 people in a division, but you have hundreds. So I don't think it is, in any way it could indicate the person or the employee, whose personnel record is at risk.
And, unless I want to go back to your DCA and have look at that specifically, I think we're going to rule that grievance numbers are public information, and that information, along with the data he's requested, should be released to him unredacted. You can redact the rest of the stuff that is a personnel identifier, but that grievance number, I don't think that's part of it. And Mr. System wants a number to be able to build his database, right? And I think that's a reasonable request based on what you've heard here. I don't think you presented that compels me to agree with your DCA. Unless you want to, go back to DCA and tell us what, argue that case. We don't have that document from the DCA here. We can't look at it. We can't debate it, with our DCA, but that's something we can do at the full task force. So I think that's my position on that. So to go back to the previous request for 22096 to present the data, including, the full grievance number plus all the data with appropriate redaction, the direction of the EOTC to the MTA in the interim, and and the same would go for step 3 grievances as listed in this case, 22097. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
All right, Mr. Cisneros, does that sound agreeable for right now?
For right now to start, but I need to verify those results. The grievance numbers are all integrated with the incident number, with the incident date, the violation, and the decision of the result. So
right,
I need those to correlate that grievance number to validate it.
Yeah, I agree. Otherwise, the data doesn't make sense, right?
Correct.
Just loose data. It needs to be tied. It's got to start somewhere, right? So there's the grievance number. Okay. All right. I think we're on the same page. Jai, anything else you want to add?
Nothing else.
Okay. And then just going back to something you said earlier, Mr. Cisneros, was there another case, and maybe our administrator verify this, was there I think it's 20001?
Yes.
Correct. That's correct.
It was reviewed by a 3-member panel in January of 2022 and was supposed to be referred to the task force, but I was never given an agenda date.
Okay. Cheryl,
it's a public records request along the same lines for the same violations against the same department.
Okay. Cheryl, do we have any record of that or recollection? Is it something you can look up?
What do you mean recollection? What do you want to know?
Is there a case number for that?
Can you just go ahead and take a look at the complaint log and see what the status of that file is?
Yeah. So is that something we can do on the fly, or do we have to look at that separately?
If you give me a few moments, I can take a look at it. What's the file number again?
22001, I believe. It's the first case.
22001. Give me a moment.
20001, I believe, correct, Mr. Cisneros?
Cheryl would know better than I.
22001.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm just curious as to what happened to that, and what status that. And Jaya, now I'm thinking, I think I would like to combine all this because it's very similar.
It is very similar. I agree with you.
I don't know if additional violations, maybe 6726 again will cover it.
Yes.
Yeah, and then I'd like to wrap in 001 if that's still lingering. And we don't have to combine it, but what we can do is hear together as expected, and present the history of this. I mean, the result is the same. It's going to be MT producing redacted versions of the data, hopefully with the grievance attached.
If we combine all three cases or have them all heard at the task force, I have to talk to Matthew about that.
Yeah, well, we usually do 2 cases, but it might make sense.
Yeah.
To put.
I agree.
Let's just see what Victor comes up with us for status.
Hi, this is Victor. Yeah, it is pending before the task force. Like I said, there's a very large backlog at the full task force. That's why I cautioned against setting specific dates, as it is still pending before the task force, waiting for our opening.
Okay, I'll tell you what, I'm going to go back and review that in more detail, Mr. Cisneros, and then we might hear all 3 together if Chair Yankee deems that appropriate. If not, it would be just that one separately and these 2, but hopefully all work will start generating some results for you. And Ms. Ackerman, I would, as we kind of alluded to in the last case, I would keep an index, kind of like a rolling index of what you're providing Mr. Cisneros, both for this case and 096, and even the old one, if you want to go back and look at that. It's all a matter of public record. So when you do come before the full task force, you can say, since the EOTC meeting, X weeks, months ago, we've provided this, and this. That'll certainly put you guys in good faith trying to request, in the interim and get Mr. Cisneros information he's asking for. That fair?
Absolutely. Yes, I think that is fair, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, thank you for being agreeable. It's nice to get, feels like, we're all working together here. So, Jai, I'll motion if you like. Actually, hold on. We haven't done rebuttals. Would anyone like to do rebuttals? Ms. Ackerman, you would go first, up to 3 minutes, followed by Mr. Cisneros.
I don't have, thank you, but I don't have a rebuttal. I think we have a plan moving forward, so I don't have a rebuttal.
Or Sophie.
Can I speak?
Yes, Cheryl, you ready for Mr. and
Yeah. Andrew, you ready to speak?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Go ahead, sir.
I'll be short and just say to the MTA that you can't withhold records that are public record. I'm not asking for anybody's personal information. And in the future, let's work together so we don't have to go through this venue. Thank you. Have a good night.
Okay. Jaya, if you'd like to make the motion, I'll be happy to second it.
Okay. The exact same motion, Cheryl, from the previous one. I move to find that the task force has jurisdiction, that the records are public, and refer the matter to the task force with the recommended violations of 6726.
And
I'll
seconded
second
by
that.
Chair. Okay, great. We want to move to public comment?
Yes, please.
All lines are unmuted at this time, so if you'd like to make public comment, you can go ahead and speak up, and we can go ahead and get that. All
Public
lines
comment is a public comment.
I'm sorry, was there a
We're done
speaker?
for the night. Thank you.
Is anybody here for public comment?
Okay, let's take the roll call.
Member Padmanabhan?
Aye.
Member Padmanabhan, aye. Chair Hyland?
Aye.
Chair Hyland, aye. Member Hill? Absent. Moved by Member Padmanabhan, seconded by Chair Hyland, to find that there is jurisdiction, the records are public, and to forward the matter to the task force with a recommendation for a violation of 6726 for failing to keep withholding to a minimum.
Okay, I just wanted to add a note there, Cheryl, can make sure this gets into the record, that the MTA, Ms. Ackerman, has agreed to provide a rolling index of redacted materials responsive to Ms. Cisneros' request, to include the grievance number for tracking purposes, and that both parties are in agreement.
Okay. Did you want that to be part of the action, Chair Hyland?
Nope, just a comment after.
Yeah, got it.
And MTA, please copy Cheryl on anything that you do to Mr. Cisneros.
We certainly thank you for that reminder.
All right, thank you. All right, thank you, folks, for being here, both parties.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right, good night.
You.
Good night. Thank you.
Okay, we want our next item.
Yes, please.
Item number 7, discussion of a local media notification list for the Sunshine Task Force. Currently, the task force posts meeting notices, agendas, etc. on its website and also the public library. Discussion on ways the task force can let members of the public be automatically notified, probably via email, of task force meetings and agendas.
All right, so this was put on our agenda.
Chris, you're breaking up.
Oh. So this item was put on our agenda due to a recent case that came up, put forward by Mr. Sullivan, where there was some discussion about processes. So perhaps I'll open it up and let our admins talk about, how we notice SOTF agendas, meetings, etc. So you guys have the floor.
Well, I can say before Victor speaks, don't mean to cut you off, Victor, but what I've been doing the last almost 5 years is providing notification to the task force members, parties who may be participating, and I am now including my supervisor, my direct supervisor, Alyssa Samara, and Angela Cavijo, of agendas that go out, and also of my minutes. I have not been aware that we were required to also notify members of the public. I mean, they can.
We don't mind. I'd like to just interrupt a little bit and keep this just direct and to the point, because our supervisors is not what's at stake or what's in question at this point in time. Our noticing requirement complies with Sunshine in that we notify, we send 72-hour notice to the newspaper, not the newspaper, we send it to the library, we post it physically and online and on our website. We do notify participants via email because they are on the agenda itself. And we do notify members of the body as they are directly involved in the matter. But as far as other parties not directly involved with the agenda, we do not provide any additional notice to them. We do post our agendas every week by Friday afternoon at the latest. And it is our office's general policy, the clerk of the board in general, that we post our agendas online and we don't send individual emails to other parties not involved in specific cases.
Got it. So
generally that's what it is.
okay, and Victor, where do you post physically? Is it at City Hall? I've always been curious about that. Okay.
It's at City Hall on the general
There's a little kiosk right outside the
our
door.
office.
Right outside the door to the Board of Supervisors. All agendas, notifications are all posted there.
And when you say, sorry.
I was going to say, what about the library? How do you email to the library and the library goes and posts it at all the public libraries?
On the fifth floor of the main public library is the government documents section, and they maintain all the minutes and agendas of all boards and commissions throughout the city.
Very cool. So a lot of paper on that board. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And I think the best way for the general public to figure out what's going on at our body is our website, because that's updated. That's the first thing we update.
Gotcha. Okay.
So when you say you post online, do you mean on the website?
Yes, it'll be on the Sunshine website and the Board of Supervisors website.
So I'm on our website right now, and I'm looking at
meetings. So let me open that up also.
Yeah,
Just
meeting
so we're
events.
Same thing. Meetings and events, and I'll show all upcoming meetings.
That's right. There's a tab there for all events, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And this also would include special meetings, right? Because that was
all meetings.
All meetings, period.
All upcoming meetings, yes.
Got it. Yeah, I know we've had some, issues with the pandemic as to meetings and meetings that started and canceled stuff, but
even the cancel meeting we will post here.
Mm-hmm.
If we have a regularly scheduled meeting and we cancel it, we post a cancel meeting notice here.
Got it. Okay. So let's talk next about a media list. Is that something that Board of Supervisors does in addition to everything that you do? I'm just curious.
The SOTF administrator does it.
What?
Cheryl posts on this website as the administrator of the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force.
Right. No, what I was asking about, Victor, I'm switching gears. So, I think the term media list came up at that full task force meeting.
We do not maintain a media list.
Okay. Does anyone maintain a media list? Does Board of Supervisors or anyone else maintain a media list? Board of Supervisors
does not. I cannot speak for other boards and commissions. I just want to bring up, there was a case, Dr. Sumchai, that was similar to this. And that is one of the reasons we don't want to keep a separate list of other parties to get notices of all our boards and agendas. In that, it adds another layer of requirements. What if that administrator makes a mistake and fails to send it, or there's some technical issue and it doesn't get sent for some reason, or they just claim it's not sent and they didn't receive it? What is a body to do when somebody claims they didn't get an email notifying them of a meeting when we've met all the requirements of the Sunshine Ordinance? Since the media list is not a requirement of the ordinance, we don't want to add another layer of a requirement for ourselves.
Okay, well, let's do this. Let's go look at the sunshine ordinance, and let's look at the section that describes.
Okay, let me pull it up.
Yeah. Maybe that would have been a good attachment, Cheryl. I should have thought of that. But let's take a look. Jai, I could get there first.
67.6 or something like that. Notification of special
I'm
meetings.
pulling it up right now.
Okay.
60, the public notice requirement. There's two versions of it. I think it's 67.7 and 7-1. Because there's other requirements for like the planning department.
There we go.
Let me take a look
67.
at it.
Yeah,
67.7.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to read 67.7, Section A. At least 72 hours before a regular meeting, a policy body shall post an agenda containing a meaningful description. Agenda shall specify the items of business. I'm jumping around a little bit.
Yep.
In addition, the body shall post the current agenda on its internet site at least 72 hours before a regular meeting.
Okay.
So there's a requirement to post physically and on the internet 72 hours before the meeting.
That's interesting. So this was written 20 years ago, and they thought to include that. That's impressive. But or it's probably, hold on, I'm sure that was amended. I bet it was. Oh yeah, there we go. No, crop sheet. Oh, okay, all right.
The one thing is a special meeting only needs 24-hour notice. It's not in this section, but it's general knowledge. A special meeting only needs a 24-hour notice, but we never get down to that point.
Yeah, you're always
Even special meetings, just like this one coming up on December 5th. That's a special meeting because it's a different time. But I always post it the same way.
right. So we try to notice that as with as much notice as anything else. Got it.
Same deadlines.
I think they're probably thinking of like emergency meetings, like sometimes the Board of Supervisors does those. That's probably what was contemplated for something like.
We can use, but we rarely do.
Okay.
So with the Board of Supervisors, since they have newspaper requirements also, that there's no way we can do a meeting with a 24-hour notice for the board because it takes us longer than that to get it into the newspaper.
Okay.
But I'm not sure if that library requirement's in the sunshine or not. I'm looking for it right now.
So we notice everything publicly on our website, at the library, posted at City Hall, and we email
Participants.
all participants.
Parties, members, and like my supervisors.
Right. Who is actually part of our body as well. Post.
Yeah. The other thing we do for the public, if they are interested in a copy of the agenda, I put a physical page-by-page copy in one of the file drawers at the Board of Supervisors. People know where it is. So if somebody needs something in from the agenda, I got a hard copy there.
And, just to move this towards the direction we want to get to, anybody who inquires about that, we tell them to check our website at the end of day Friday, because we post all notices by the end of the week on Friday. That's just our standard. Even if it's the next Friday, we'll always post it the previous week by Friday. Just so everyone knows, if it's there on Friday, it's going to happen next week. There is one option that we were talking about. This is many years ago, as in probably over a decade ago, about using a private party automated system so that anytime the meeting information page is updated, parties who subscribe to the service will get notified that page is changed. That was something that exists. We were talking about years ago, like a Twitter feed or something like that, where anytime we would change the agenda or post an agenda on our website, parties would get an email notice saying that the agenda page, that web page has changed, and please take a look at it. But we've never implemented that because the technology wasn't quite right yet. But there might be a private party service that people can subscribe to that would notify them of web page changes.
You're saying that that never actually happened.
No, has not. It was a discussion years ago, but we never used it.
Okay. And this whole media list thing, I'm not sure. I think Mr. Sullivan might have been the person that brought that up. Actually, maybe it was Chair Wolf that brought that phrase up. That's why I wanted to dive into that. But as far as you know, there is no media list of certain news organizations or television stations or journalists per se that are on a list that get a feed from us, right? Do you
not have a media list or any list of any type to notice parties?
Okay, all right. Well, I'm convinced that we're in compliance above and beyond what the Sunshine Ordinance is requiring us. But on the other side of that coin is, I think as the SOTF, we'd like to make ourselves at the top of the pile as far as noticing and notifications, right? But honestly, other than what we're already doing, I don't see anything else that could be improvement to what we do. Member Padmanabhan, did you have any possible thoughts or directions?
Yes, I think we're meeting all the requirements as written down by the Sunshine Ordinance. But this, technology has advanced now, and I feel that maybe we should have, a subscribe option or something on the website where people who want to subscribe can easily, add their names, and an RSS feed would be sent to them automatically. So something like that, or if that would take a lot of effort on the part of some, I think it would require some coding. The other option is to just send an email to the editors of some of the newspapers, the local newspapers, and along with all the emails that are being sent. Now, how difficult,
that's not an option the clerk of the board is willing to consider at this point in time, because it puts an additional obligation upon the clerk of the board. And if they hold us to that, in case the email is missed, it can cause problems like the Dr. Sumchai matter. But I did ask, we can ask through the clerk of the board if she can ask our IT department to look into that automated list that people can subscribe to. It's just that if that list fails, the clerk of the board will not take responsibility over that automated list. The clerk of the board basically wants to stick to the requirements and not create additional burdens.
So are you speaking on behalf of Angela here, or just from what you've understood?
This is my understanding. I don't want to speak on behalf of Angela Calvillo, the clerk of the board, but that is my understanding of the position of our department in general, because that's what we do for all our boards and commissions, including the Board of Supervisors.
Okay. All right. So I guess, Jaya, what to do with this item next? It's not really, it's not really a file item yet. It's really just a conversation piece. I mean, we can track it here, or we can maybe ask the clerk of the board, and Victor, make sure I'm correct. Given the change of technology, are you saying that there is such a list, or?
There is no list at this time. there's the possibility that there might be private party technology that can automatically notify people when there's a web page change to our meeting notification page that's on the website.
Okay, but there's no
But
like.
we need to ask Angela to, authorize our IT department to look into that.
Sure, I think that would be. I think that might be a reasonable next step.
Yeah.
Is there a subscription option to anything that comes out of?
I've never used it myself. I've just heard rumors of it, that Twitter might have something to that effect, where you can subscribe to it and it would monitor our web page and notify them of changes to our event page.
Okay, so that's an outside agency, Twitter, that's doing something like that, right?
Yes.
No, it's also on websites. I use RSS feeds from other websites, so that is possible.
Jai, can you describe that? How does that work?
So, as a journalist, what we do is, if my article is published anywhere, then I get informed. So similarly, if I'm interested in one particular journalist's work, I subscribe to that person's feed. It's called the RSS feed. I'm automatically notified anytime there is a new article.
So let me ask you this: that RSS feed, that's not necessarily something the journalist has agreed to. It's a third party software that is just, if you like, aggregating all that person's outputs and making it into a feed. Is that correct?
That is right. Yes.
Okay. So I think what Victor's saying, and I understand this position completely, is the clerk of the board doesn't want to set up something like a subscription or a feed, which can then, which is yet another layer of work to be done. Now, if there are third-party softwares that already do this, then the onus is really on the individual finding that third-party software and signing up for it, I think.
I think it's something we can look into with permission from the clerk of the board.
Okay. So how about why don't we as a result of this meeting, why don't we send maybe just word a very short inquiry to the clerk of the board, explain, we had this item come up, inquiring minds would like to know, is there such a feed already in place that they know of? I mean, is there a feed? Is there an official feed that clerk of the board is planning in the future? Where are we with this? Given technology and whatnot. So that wasn't very elegantly phrased, but maybe Jai,
I understand what your concept is, and we can discuss it with the clerk of the board, or we can write a memo and we can talk to you about it before we send it to the clerk of the board. With maybe if you have any details on the RS feed, I'm not familiar with it myself, so maybe we can look it up, or if you have any additional information, we can give her a starting point for her to direct our IT department.
Okay.
Great. Yeah. So Jai, if you want to send Victor something, some carefully phrased question with a couple of examples, that'll be great, and we'll make sure to get that into that into our next EOTC as a as an item. So I think I'll move to continue this item on that note, with a possible short member Padmanabhan to the clerk of the board, and then we can go from there.
Okay. We have one person still on the line with us.
Let's take
tonight.
comment on this.
Her microphone is unmuted, but she hasn't said anything so far during our meeting today. If you'd like to make public comment, you can go ahead and speak up. Your mic should be unmuted, so we should hear you if you do want to make public comment. I don't have control over that mic. We're not hearing anything, so I assume there's no public comment, as there's nobody else with us.
All right, very good. Okay, so I don't think we need to take the vote on this, do we, Victor?
We should still take a motion to continue it to the call of the chair or to the next
go.
meeting, your choice.
Yeah, so I'll make a motion to continue to the call of the chair.
And I'll second that.
All right, very good.
Did we want to include guidance from Member Padmanabhan on?
No, that's
We can
okay.
work that out on our own.
Yeah, and then we can, when it does become, we get, back and forth, we'll include that in the next meeting. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so just as is just fine.
Okay, are we on to the next item?
Don't
Yes,
we have
please.
to
We need to take a vote.
vote?
Yeah, vote first.
Sorry. Chair Hyland?
All right.
Chair Hyland, aye. Member Padmanabhan?
Aye.
Member Padmanabhan, aye. Member Hill, absent.
All right.
Ready for the next item?
Yes, please.
Item number 8, announcements, comments, questions, and future agenda items by members of the Education Outreach and Training Committee.
When is our next scheduled meeting?
It would be in November.
Fall during Thanksgiving week, huh?
Actually, no. Task
Three,
force
four.
will meet on the 3rd, no, the 2nd. Complaints on the 15th, and you would be on the 22nd.
That is Thanksgiving week.
Thanksgiving week, yes, you're correct. Do you guys want to meet that week?
Jai, it sounds like you have plans.
Yeah, I do have plans, but maybe we could move it to the following week, 29th. Would that be a problem?
Not for me.
Because, well, let me see. The 29th. Okay, because in December, the task force meeting would be December 7th.
And that's fine.
Okay, so you meet on the 29th, and I upload the task force agenda on December 1st and 2nd.
May I suggest we keep that tentative for now, and we can plan on it.
Good time.
Just notice a tentative change of meeting date to the 29th. And once we get closer, we can finalize that.
Okay.
Just because it's around the holidays, and if we do that, we have to finalize our agendas an extra week early. Just because no one will be around to finalize the agenda the week before. And I caution anything around that time just because parties are unlikely to show up. Anything around Thanksgiving, we want to finalize very early just to give people a chance to drop out, because they do drop out a lot around the holidays.
Yeah. Very good. Okay.
So I just like to give Ms. Knight another chance for public comment. She's still with us on the system, but I haven't heard from her yet tonight. So if you'd like to make public comment, go ahead and speak up. Okay, I don't hear anything, and she's the only person with us tonight. I believe we can move on to our final item.
Next item, please.
Number 9, adjournment. I have 7:13.
Very good. Exactly an hour and a half.
Who moved second? Who
I'll-
moves it?
I move to so adjourn.
And Chair Highland seconds.
Okay, I'm stopping the recording.